Hello, this video will be a continuation. So in previous videos I went through all the harmonic numbers and how they are so important, especially to the quadrivium, but again, cross time, cross cultures, you will find just consistently repeated, especially through Hermetics, Hermes, god of weights and measures, Thoth, god of weights and measures, and knowledge and writing. Basically, all the intellectual pursuits is very much connected with Thoth or Hermes. Similar in ancient China, so Nuwa and Fuzi, Ningishzida in Sumer, well, plenty of these types of gods. So we went through these numbers, and so for like links will be in the description. Went through 108, 216, 432. Previous episodes also like 9, 18, 36, 72, then one on 144 because it's a really charged number, that 144. But this one will be on the next one down, so 144 times 2, and we get 288, and that is one of my favorites, probably amongst these harmonics. 288, I think, is my favorite, but arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy, the quadrivium, and so 288. So we're just going to continue down this column, and 288. Now it's well, it's not strictly a Hashad number, but it is based on 9. So 2 plus 8 plus 8 equals 18. 1 plus 8 equals 9. So you know straight away it's divisible by 9, but because it's on this column, and well, all these after this column, all numbers are divisible by 9 on this harmonics chart. It's just because it's based on 3 squared, etc. But 288, why is it important? Well, there we see some of the connections. And so we begin measuring temperature, the thermometer. So weights and measures is a system of measure as well. It connects to 273 and these other sun, earth, moon. It's astonishing, really. But so average temperature around 288 Kelvin. Now, because of, well, politics, anything to do with earth temperature is just, it's a hot potato, no pun intended. But so we have a measure of temperature at 288. Now, also in geometry, so in a pentagon, 72 degrees at the central angle, but so therefore 288 on the outside. So get also a nice connection to the golden number as well. But also 2 times, so you get the Mayan calendar, the Picton, 2,880,000 days is one of those at 288, but also so it's a reference to time, measurement, also in music, D288 hertz. Now, that's sort of based on the ideal Pythagorean tuning from like 432, then 2 to the 2 over 3 or 3 over 2, this Hermetic constant, the perfect fifth. But again, so nice connection with the measurement of music and also with astronomy. So we have the sun, and so this is a nice number because it brings together multiple units of measurement as well. So it's not just about getting the sun, but each time you'll see how, especially these very important 144, 108, 216, 432, etc. It's what we have is a conversion between multiple sets of ancient measures. So, for instance, the mean diameter of the sun in the cubits on the long scale, league. So 1 league is 3 miles. That's the mile we still use now. And it's also 288,000, etc. rods on the Ionic scale. So we have the long or the Persian, the so-called modern English, but that's nowhere. That's at least 1,500 years older than what the history will push to it, and there's physical evidence of that as well. It's just sometimes these, inverted commas, old wives' tales just get passed on, and because they get repeated enough, it carries on. But no, the foot that we use now is at least 500 BC, at least. Much older than that, actually, if you then take the evidence of all the old ancient temples around the world. But what we have is, so the Persian, the league or 3 miles, and the Ionic scale is in the Ionic column. Also, I've seen earlier videos, this very in musical scales, the Ionian the measure system of Ionic, and also the architectural school of the Ionic school of architecture, and also the three columns, Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian, most famously would as depicted on Freemason tracing boards. But we have the sun, and at a harmonic point, like a unity point where multiple sets come together. So we have the ruler, the clock or time, measure of temperature, measure of music. We have geometry, and also in arithmetic, and this is probably why 288 I like it so much. Now, for instance, this 4D, so for instance, 4, that's 2 squared, 9 is 3 squared, so, one dimension. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 in the second dimension, 1, 2, 3, 4, third, etc. Okay, so if we add them up from the top corner, top left to the bottom right, 288, if we multiply them from the bottom left to the top right, we get 288. Beautiful number across dimensions through into the fourth dimension. But again, very nice number. Now, okay, so but how is this applied? Well, for instance, the Capitol building in Washington, 288 feet high. Now, the rotunda is 96 feet wide, which is 288 hand. But also Daniel Burnham, the Union Street Station in Washington, D.C. Daniel Burnham, very, very important, very influential architect, part of the City Beautiful movement. The height in the main hall there in the Union Street Station, post offices, train stations, ports are always symbolically through measures, and the symbols literally overflow with these powerful symbols from ancient times. And because it's a transport hub, a hub of commerce as well, so that's another reason. But okay, so we see 288 in hands, but back to the 288 feet high Capitol building. Well, the Mormon Temple in DC there, or just outside of DC, anyway, 288 feet high, both of them. Now, why that's interesting, of special interest, because again, we go back to Siena in Italy. The cathedral, the hub of church power, and the Mangia Tower, the hub of secular power, both were made of equal height, 288 feet, to symbolize the equality between church and state authority. So I think that's what they've actually done here in Washington as well, and some other places too, but this is one of the importance. I'll do a huge list of, give me a capital, like a major capital building, look at the center, you're going to find 288. It seems to be a number especially connected with centers of power, political power, especially in the central axis, not just on some hokey corner in the building. Through the main central axis of the building, and that of course being there through the dome. But again, lots of other examples, covered that in other videos. It's also nice that in the Sumerian scale, 200, or the Saxon foot, or the Indus Valley, so Mohenjo-Daro, the Sumerian foot, Mohenjo-Daro foot, and the Saxon foot, which was used up until the time of Elizabeth I. Well, 288 feet would be 261.81818181, and that is essentially phi squared, or phi plus 1. And actually not as defined by the Great Pyramid, that not without go. Okay, so forget about it. It's sort of true, okay, but if you take it too literally, that won't be correct. But still, you'll find this 2.6181818 again just repeats consistent. It's buried into the place, and it's all connected with Fibonacci numbers, especially 144, 55. Yeah, anyway, 377. Fibonacci's are one of the key points to all of this, and so this is one of the reasons why 288 is so important. Now, also might be worth, okay, so this, both the rotunda in the US Capitol building, the Union Street Station, 96 feet high, again could list so many other important architects, cathedrals, monuments, major public buildings that have this measurement. But even in, so 1632, 64, 96, 128, 288, 384, 1152, these are all on the harmonic scale. So 1152, 384, 128, 64, etc. But on that same, so in the earlier episodes, well, already went through, so numbers like 864, 3456, and the rest of these will will appear, of course, on this harmonic chart. And the ones I haven't covered yet, I'm going to get to, because every single one of these is beautifully, lovely connected, especially through quadrivium, geometry, music, arithmetic, and astronomy, and again connected to multiple apparently separate cultures across the world who just all happen to choose weights and measure systems that just all come together at such harmonious, lovely points. And so that's one example of why 288 is important in architecture as well. You could go through all of these numbers and again just look for your Capitol building, your major war memorial, your major monuments, major cathedrals, major temples. Bang, you're going to get them all the time. So 288 times 2, 576. Again, so we see the sun, the Mayan calendar, 24 squared, 24 squared, and 12 squared is 144, 6 squared is 36 anyway. Even in screen resolution, so 576. And of course, once again, we find this long foot, the Persian foot, which, again, I have to get into that because it's just, I've been studying this particular measure for a while now, and it just recently, it just all clicked together. Just amazing stuff. So we have time, astronomy, also through measurements, so the ruler, and again, electronic age, arithmetic. These numbers are just like lovely in that way. And so next would be 576 times 2 is 1152 times 2, 2304. And again, in the Mayan calendar, we see how these the counts that they have, again, measurements of time. And okay, I'll begin on this column, and I didn't talk about 27 or 54, and just to fill those in as well while we're here. So 3 cubed, that's 27, and here are some. Now 27. Now they're also okay. Again, 24 would emerge in here as well. Now because it depends on how you. Anyway, yep. So, but if you do have a look at 27 Hebrew letters in the Hebrew alphabet, that is correct. Now, there's also more to it than that. However, it's worth mentioning. 27, just again, one of these cool numbers, bones in the human hand, the lunar mansions in Indian, that part of the world tradition, and of course 3 cube. Now, just to fill these last ones in, so for instance, again, the Pentagon, the pentagram, so the interior 108, 108. Anyway, add 5 of those together, and that's the sum of the interior angles of a pentagon. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just like a triangle is always going to add up to 180 degrees, a square or a rectangle or any 4-sided shape will also always bring you to 360 degrees, and any 5-sided shape will bring you to 540. Okay, just to fill in those ones. So we see 2 of those columns, and so we have we could go to the end, but so what I'll be doing is I'll be covering this 381 or 3 to the 4th, and 3 to the 5th or 243. So I'll complete those in upcoming episodes. But yeah, it's all sun, earth and moon, weights and measures, proportions, architecture, ancient legends and stories, and martial arts, mysticism, just always keeps coming back anyway. So with that one, there's more to come, but just to explain, usually I'll do a video on a single building and sort of run through these fairly quickly, so I thought it'd just be worthwhile. Once you get this, it really is just a simple set of numbers. You only really need that column, and you need this column, and it's just 3 times 2, 4 times 9, 8 times 27. It's all there, and it's really cool stuff. Very, I don't know, again, I think this should be included in the education system, because, well, you can learn so many little about the relationships between things, again, different disciplines, music, astronomy, geometry, arithmetic. I'm not saying that, it should be the education system. That's far beyond me to say that, but I think anyone who's been through the system recently in the last couple decades knows it's a stinker, and it's only getting worse. And something needs to be done about it, because the system's not just bad, like it's failing to educate people in it, not just facts, but also in critical thinking and thinking outside of a box. And well, yeah,
It's going bad. It's not getting any better. Anyway, so with that, hope you enjoyed. There'll be more to come. I'll finish off the rest of these, at least the most important ones around this area here.